you. I'm going to start with a picture. By the way, he said farmer in the Dell because I always say that. And then I mentioned him. I said, my wife always says, stop saying that. Nobody knows what that is. So everybody that's over 30 knows what farmer in the Dell is. But under 30, they don't get it. I like to do pictures. And I just want to say that 1 in 3 people right now in this country know they need a medical procedure, and they are putting it off. And these are not people that don't have insurance. These are people that have insurance. What's happened is our deductibles have gotten so high, we can't afford to use that insurance. It keeps growing, but it's around 30% of the population now. So, and then I'll click. Okay, so what's going on? Why can't they afford it? What's happening to the price of all these procedures and these medical expenses? And so if you look at 2017, we spent $3.2 trillion on healthcare. And I'm glad there's a bunch of doctors in here. Hopefully you guys have the answer. So I'd like to put a little question up here. What percentage of that 3.2 trillion do you think was caused by the doctors, right? It must be like 70%, 50%, right? Yeah, what portion is doctor pay? What can we work on?
It's about 8%.
This man wins the prize. It is 4%. 4%. So you could make the doctors work for free, and it's not going to move the needle, right? So what's going on there? And when you look at it, it's really all these administrative middle layers. Medical coding, billing, collections, adjudication, which isn't up there, which you guys know it's the pretext before you send the bill in to make sure it's right. So these costs make up anywhere from 30 to 60%, depending on who's measuring what and what you're counting in there. Now, let's look at an actual example. Normally, I don't put this many numbers on a slide, but this is a great case. It's a specific case that actually happened. Somebody needed what I always call an upper and lower colonoscopy, but the gastro guys keep telling me, no, that's an EGD and a colonoscopy. But anyway, so with insurance, it's $16,000, and the patient doesn't care what it costs. They only care what it's going to cost them. And their deductible was $5,000. So when you run that through and you look at what the doctor's going to receive and all the expenses, all the costs and everything, and then you look, okay, well, what if he looked at Healora? And this was a guy that was looking at Healora. He was actually looking at us as an investment. And he said, well, let me just see what it costs to do this colonoscopy. And he looked it up and he said, wait a second, $3,500 total, all in? Can that be right? And the answer is yes, it can, because when you cut out, all of these items, you can save a lot of money. And in fact, the doctor with Healora, the physicians we target generally Medicare plus 20, and they're paid in cash the day of service. Whereas with the other side, either insurance or Medicare or whatever they're doing, it's 90 to 120 days, you're fighting all the way, paper back and forth, and you're lucky if you get paid, right? So anyway, that's kind of the way it looks. And remember, the doctors get paid their full fees. We deal with a lot of doctors, and I was just talking with somebody here a minute ago, and they were saying, what if they have a lucrative contract, which are out-of-network contracts, right? You're getting paid 300, 400, 500% of Medicare. But that's becoming a smaller and smaller amount of the pie because the insurance companies are starting to say, wait a second, we know you guys are tweaking the system to get those out-of-network lucrative contracts. So that's getting more and more narrow. And so usually doctors like that. Now, generally what we do is we're just simply connecting a patient and a doctor together in a binary relationship. We aren't even in the middle of it. The patient ends up paying the doctor directly at the time of service. So when they come in for their service, they pay that Medicare plus 20 is what we recommend. Some physicians say, well, wait, I want Medicare plus 40 or whatever it is they want. And our job as a platform is just to list what the physician wants. If they want to put Medicare plus 800%, that's fine, we'll do it. I don't think they'll get a lot of patients for that, but but unless it's somebody like Dr. Bray, who's charging $75,000 for a spinal laminectomy. But anyway, this is kind of what I see, and part of it, I'm going to take another 30 seconds here, because to make that happen, it's really important to have a primary care doctor. And it's funny how the primary care doctors are coming back, in my opinion, to be very, very important in this process. Very important in terms of outcome, very important in terms of getting the write-up right. When that patient gets sent to the specialist needs to know, kind of like the old days, where the primary doctor would write up what's wrong with them, give a background, do a full workup, and send him over to the specialist. And now that doesn't happen. It gets, that 7 minutes is all that primary care guy gets on average with a patient these days. They're seeing 50, 60 a day. But we have direct primary care doctors who have maybe 900 lives, and they're seeing like 5, 6 patients a day, spending a lot of time. They're actually really loving what they're doing, and they're making far more money than they ever made before. I'm going to recommend a 3-minute video to you guys of one of the direct primary care guys that we work with. His name is Dr. Jan Minsink, and he's in Bakersfield, California, one of the poorest counties in the country. But there's a Harvard talk. It's a 3-minute talk that he gives that just gives a fantastic solution to this healthcare, which involves really a platform like Healora that can connect the patient and the doctor together. And what's my next slide? Well, this is my information. Ooh, I have 3 more minutes. So let me show you what kind of a landscape I think in the future is going to look like. I think a lot of it, the primary driver is really going to be these self-funded employers, which is the majority of employers out there now are paying the cost of this healthcare. They're self-funded. So they're just really getting hammered on their costs. And so if you can get that self-funded employer aligned with a direct primary care doctor, where that doctor's only charging, $79, $89, maybe $99 a month, depending on where he is, the patient gets unlimited doctor visits. And so when he comes in or she comes in to get whatever they need from a primary care perspective, they can come as many times as they want. The doctor's already paid because he or she has been paid that subscription price. I know there was one group in, I think it was Florida, that had a big sign in the window that says, pay $50 for a subscription and get free unlimited doctor visits. So it's kind of thinking, because we don't think of that way. But anyway, I think that's kind of what's going to end up, and you're going to have independent third-party administrators that are going to help pull this thing together with benefit consultants that are focused on saving that employer money and helping pull all of this together. And I think less and less are the insurance companies going to be a part of this. This is already moving so fast in this direction. And just to give you a kind of a quick idea, one of the direct primary care doctors was a neurologist, a neurosurgeon, and he's making more than double the amount of money now with his direct primary care practice. He retired from that, and having a blast. He actually loves his job. He loves seeing the patients. He's doing what he really loves to do, and he's making a ton more money with it. So it's a win-win for everybody, and the patients especially, because they get to see their doctor, and the doctor gets to actually go through all the pieces with him. Let's see what else I've got. Oh, this is our team. So you know about me. I've owned and exited a couple businesses. I have kind of a financial sales background. MBA at USC, which costs way too much money. Our CTO is Parshant Jain. He's unbelievable. He should actually be here because he founded recently an AI company called Simplify Reality, by the way. And he's helping us get customer service aligned properly because customers don't want to talk to anybody anymore. They want to call in or type in. They want to get to their information and get it done. And that's difficult to do in this space. But we're going to work on it, and over the next couple of years, we're going to get it done. My co-founder is Dr. Julian Henley. He's a double board certified surgeon. He was on Yale clinical staff. He studied engineering at MIT and physics and mathematics at Harvard, and he actually did a healthcare startup and exited back in 2012. It was called Price Doc. But so he and I are the ones, sort of a patient and a doctor, trying to help doctors and patients change this crazy healthcare mess. This is a market just in of what's going on out there in the market. I may need that for a question. But anyway, oops, 10 minutes. I'm done. Any questions?
Was the unlimited visits to the PCP only, not the specialist?
Yeah, only the direct primary care doctor, yeah.
How much do you pay the PCPs?
We don't pay them anything.
What is the average?
Most of the primary care guys, they're charging, it depends on the location they're in, but they're charging $79, $89, $99 per month per patient. So if you've got 1,000 patients and you're charging $89 a month per patient, I mean, that's a lot of money. It's a lot more than they're making working for Kaiser as a direct primary care guy or some local hospital where they're just getting killed. And they're,
1,000 patients, what does that up to? Math.
it's about $1 million a year. Yeah.
Just private care.
Yeah, and think of the overhead to run a primary care office. I mean, it's, you know, they're making a lot of money, the ones that are doing it. That's the big thing. They only see about 5 or 6 patients a day, and so it leaves room for them to even treat maybe like a similar, like an urgent care thing. If a patient does, you know, fall and lacerate their arm or something, if it's between the hours they're open, 8 and 6 or whatever, they can come to the office and they can walk right in. There's no charge except for whatever materials or expendables are needed because the doctor's already paid for.
Is it exclusively outpatient or inpatient?
Mostly, I think it's outpatient. It's sort of a typical direct primary care operation. Is what they would do. But there's more and more of those popping up, and we're supporting them on our site because we recognize that to go to a specialist, they really need to see the direct primary care guy first. I mean, if they see that guy or girl first, the outcome is going to be so much better. And it works better for the patient, it works better for the specialist because they know exactly, you know, what they're getting and what they're going to do.
Look at the numbers. England has primary care and all government paid. They have a capitation rate. I don't know what numbers they carry and how much they make. They make better than the specialists. I mean,
Right.
Primary GPs make, but the government pays a capitation rate. The patient may or may not go. But
Right.
You add up to more money.
Yeah, and I
Not
think,
the same numbers as you all say.
oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll have to start repeating questions.
The
So,
question is about
yeah.
GPs in England.
GPs in England, I'm not familiar with that. I know that, again, one of the big things is choice. And that's why wherever we are in the world and whatever happens, this model of direct care is going to be the model. Even if we have like universal health care in England or even Canada, or well, I guess Canada puts some other stuff in there, but there's always a secondary market so that people say, well, I can go to the free stuff, you know, I can do that if I want to wait or whatever their systems are. Or if I have enough money, I can go see the private guy. I just have to pay. So, yes.
So, I guess I'll be the devil's advocate here.
Okay.
So, what you're describing for primary care is capitation, which I think, from my understanding, ruined private practice in the Bay Area.
Uh-huh.
I'm a permanent physician. My question to you is this Healora model working in California? And if so, are these primary care doctors doing emails, you know, because primary care is, if you're actually doing primary care, it's not just for the patient coming in nowadays, it's also emails and video visits and telephone visits and several other things. So are they providing that comparable care as your physicians? Are they doing the same as?
Well, I think what we're talking about, because she's asking about what are all the other things that go with primary care, you know, how involved is all that? And part of the point of direct primary care is they get rid of all that stuff. In other words, they don't have to do these other things. If they can just find an employer with 100 employees or 200 employees, and they can get that employer to be willing to pay $89 a month, they start right there with a nice subscription base that every month they're going to get. I don't know if that answers your question, but it gives them choice. They're able to, it doesn't answer the question. Okay. I may have missed it. All right.
I have to stop here.
Okay.
But he will be around, Thomas, though he has to catch a flight. So,
And you
please
can
feel
connect
free
with me on LinkedIn. Please, send me a note, connect with me, and I'd love to try to answer your questions. Sorry if I missed that. And thank you very much. I appreciate it.